Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be putting our dried herbs into a jar and labeling it. I know there were a few questions on my last video about how I dry these herbs using one of the oldest methods, and one of the comments was I don't like to do it this way because dust will settle on the herbs, which is very true. You want to make sure that you are pulling them as soon as you can feel that they're dry, because you don't want dust to settle on your herbs. You can also buy, they have these mesh little bags. They usually use them for like flowers. I think a lot of flower farmers will put them over their flowers so insects don't get to the flowers. But that's another option. You can always buy those mesh bags and then put them over to protect them from any of the dust and stuff settling in your house. To be perfectly honest, I'm not that worried about it. I've been doing this for a little bit and it doesn't seem to bother me at all. So it's up to you however you want to do it, but that's a very good observation. I have my lavender and then I have the peppermint that I dried in my last video. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in jars. I already have 2 jars here that I have been putting some herbs in. This is for my lavender leaves. There are a bunch of different remedies and stuff out there for uses for the lavender leaves. And then this is for the flowers. So I do separate them out. The one thing that you want to make sure is that everything is completely dried, because if you put it in here and it's not completely dried, it could grow mold. If you see mold ever on any of your stuff, disregard it right away. You want to sterilize your jars and start over. You don't want to hold on to anything that has mold on it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I am just going to do my peppermint for this video just so you guys can see how I put it on and the labels that I use and what I put on my labels. I pulled it off the shelf that I had it drying on, and all I'm gonna do is remove the string, and I can reuse this or I can just throw it away, it doesn't matter. And then for peppermint, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run my fingers right down. Well, and it is not the most perfect process, I understand. But I'm gonna run my fingers down and just pull off the leaves. You're gonna be left with your stems. I haven't researched or done anything with these. I don't really care to. I'm sure you could find a use for them if you wanted to, but I am just going to throw them away. So we're gonna go ahead and just get the leaves off of all of these stems. And you know they're dry when you feel them and they're crunchy. So here you can see that they're definitely shriveled up, they're crunchy, but they still have the smell of peppermint. I always make a mess. And peppermint is used in a lot of different ways. You can use it in teas for sure. We've all heard of peppermint tea when you have an upset stomach, right? So you can use it in teas. You can also use it for cosmetic purposes. I've done before, and I've been using it for a while now. I took peppermint and I put it in an amber jar with some coconut oil, and I actually use that as my moisturizer after I wash my face. And I love it. I know what's in it. It's 2 ingredients. That works for me, and it's super simple. You can also use it for infusing oil, making different tinctures. Another question that I was asked when I was drying these herbs was, do I wash the herbs before I dry them? And that's a very good question. What I typically do, if it has rained, now it depends if you're foraging, if you know your garden, a lot of things will determine if you want to wash your herbs or not. But I'm gonna tell you what I do. You can do your own research and decide what works best for you. So what I typically do is, if it has rained within the last 24 to 48 hours, I don't wash my herbs. Unless they have bugs on them or any debris, then I will wash them. I'll do like a visual check just to see if they look clean to me. If it has not rained within the last 24 to 48 hours, I will wash them. I will just put them in a strainer. I'll run some cold water over them, and then I will use a paper towel to kind of dry them. I'll let them sit on the counter for a little bit, but not too long. I'll just dab them with a paper towel to make sure that they're dry before I hang them to actually dry them out. That's what I do. It's not anything specific. I just feel like if the rainwater has hit the plant, then that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing when I'm running them through the water. You'll be surprised that all of that only gave you half a cup of herbs. You're gonna need to dry out a lot to fill up a jar. But it's easy, it's super simple, and obviously you can see it took me like 2 seconds to do that. Next, what I'll do is I'll put on my lid. When you label your jars, there's a couple things I recommend having on your label. This is lavender. These are the lavender leaves that I've dried about a week ago. So what I put on my label, and I just found this template off of Canva, and I thought it would be cute on the labels, and then I just got some cardstock, and then I used twine just to tie it on there. What I have on my label is it's dried lavender, and you really don't have to put dried, they're all going to be dried, but I just put it on there. Sometimes what I'll do is if I'm making something, so say this was like a tincture or a salve and I was putting a sticker on it, instead of dried, I would just write like salve, tincture, or if it's gonna be like a blend, you can put blend, whatever. So I put dried lavender in the top just so I can see what that is. I put the date that I harvested the herb. So if that was, this was 8/2, that's when I harvested the first herb that's in here, just so I know how old they are. Not that it matters, they'll last for a long time, but I just like to have a date in mind to know like, okay, I started this jar on this date, just something I like to do. And then I put the scientific name. I have been told that it's very important to put the scientific name on your label because the common name, which is lavender, can be different among different countries or even different regions. So when we talk about lavender, I could be thinking one thing, you could be thinking another. So we put the scientific name on the label just so we know exactly what it is. And I'm still learning all of the scientific names. So I like to put it on here and try and just remind myself like, hey, refer to it as this. Honestly, half the time I can't even pronounce it, so, but I'm practicing, so I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce it. I just want to let you know that's what that is. And then I put if it was in my garden, if I foraged for it, what garden or where it was located. So our farm is Madera Farms. So I just put Madera Farms on there so I know, okay, I picked it here. I know what's been done on our property as far as like spraying and if it's organic. So I just like to remind myself where I found it. I put underneath that what the uses are. I can quickly look at the label and it'll tell me, okay, you can use this. I am learning, so that's why I like to put this stuff on here. Hopefully at some point, I won't have to have anything on here and I can just say, oh, you're having trouble sleeping, grab lavender. Oh, you're having anxiety, we can do a lavender blend, like something like that. But I'm still learning, so I put everything right on the label. It's easy for me to quickly look at and know what I can grab. So that's my labels. I'm gonna go ahead and put this peppermint one right on here. Personally, this is, I know it might sound stupid, but it's like an aesthetic thing for me. I like when things look clean and organized. It's just something that I like to do, and I also like to work with my Cricut and make stuff, so this is perfect for me. So that's it. That's all there is to jarring up your herbs. I hope this helps. I hope it gives you an idea of how you can easily store the herbs that you have went out and grown and foraged for. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I am happy to answer anything, or if you want me to send you the label, you can just put your email in the comments and I will send it over to you so you can go ahead and use it. And again, I just used it on Canva, and then I printed it out on my Cricut and cut it and put it on here. So that's all. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week.